even in that last example, but you talk a little bit about the ability to read the room and how that is an important quality of leadership.
Well, that goes back to that not just having your eyes on your prize or the eyes on your agenda, and really noticing that there are other people in the room who not only have voices and opinions, and that if you're not picking up on those vibes and those voices and those opinions, and whether they're responding to you or not, you're not going to get anywhere, whether it's in business for yourself, or if you're running a company, or if you are serving as a mentor. You have to be able to read the room. And again, you're going to be able to tell there's something about people's eyes and how they sit. We're all observers, whether we realize it or not, of nonverbal communication. If you put out an idea and there are 5 people in the room and 3 of them cross their arms across their chest, that usually means there's some kind of resistance. Or if you suggest something and say, okay, let's go ahead and do it, and no one in the room meets your eyes after you put that out as a suggestion, that means they're not on board. So if you could read the room and look at people's eyes and look at their body language and notice if there's enthusiasm, or notice if there's just this, as Rochelle and I experienced, icy silence in the room, that's going to help you then reconnect to people and find out what matters to them.
Well, yeah, I always hate the arm crossing deal when 20 people in there and they all look like, yeah,
that's right.
I don't think so. Now, how can you keep your confidence up? Especially, let's just face it, we're women. And even though we're at 100 years of women having the right to vote, we only had the Equal Rights Amendment come up 40 plus years ago, maybe 50 now. But that even hasn't happened all over the country. And we know that women still make less than men in general, that there are many things that are not, let's say, easy steps to being successful as a woman. How do you keep your inner confidence? How do you just, when you do get that icy look or those crossed arms, and you really have something good. This is not just you've talked yourself into something and not thought it through, but it's a good thing, or you're coming back with the next idea. How do you continue to stay strong in your belief in yourself?
It's a great question. I think you name what's in the room, right? If you feel that you have a great idea and you look at those people who aren't responding, as opposed to slinking away or going back and adjusting your great idea, to name it and say, I notice that I'm not getting a great response to what I just put out in the room. What's going on? To have the confidence to say, what's going on? And then to hear the different voices. And the thing about being a leader, and I know you both have experienced this, is it's to be able to hear other people, but also to stand in your own truth and say, I get it. I get that you're concerned that we're going to go in this direction, or that I want to make this change, but I stand in my belief that it's going to benefit us. And you as a woman business leader might not be popular in that moment, and that's okay. So I think one of the first things is to let go of that need to be liked and to need always to be in connection, right? It's impossible. It's impossible to be liked all the time. That doesn't mean that you're disliked, but people may not be in agreement with you in that moment. And as long as you can hold on to your truth and make the choice, once you've heard everybody out, that you're the one that's going to make the decision for that next step and to hold on to it, go for it. And also, and we talked about this in the earlier segment, that's when you have a great team of support people around you, the emotional support, the strategy support, the cheerleader, where people go, stick with it. No matter what anybody says, you've got a great idea, hang in there. So I believe it's connecting to yourself, what matters to you, and letting go of being liked or being perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, Carol, I feel you may have touched on all of this, but listening to what you're like, listening, absolutely listening. We are right now, I would say, in a crisis of communication in our world, in on all levels, I would say. And when we talk about the ability to communicate, now you touched on listening, and you talked about staying connected to the gut. What is there anything else that we should be looking at as women, and elevating ourselves to the next level of leadership when it comes to sort of clarifying the communication and really making a difference today as how we go forward with our communication?
Well, what comes to mind is don't be afraid of turbulence and the need for people to state their truth. We're living in a time right now where women of color, women who have been held down in terms of opportunity, women in terms of gender have been held down, and they have a right to be heard. And sometimes what we try to do when we're trying to fix things is we go, yeah, okay, but what do you want to do about it? Or tell me what the next steps are. And I think that we need to allow the space for people to let off steam, to say what they've been holding back for years or months. People need to have a time to really let it out. And then once they have, that's a time where you can come up with strategies. So if you have someone that you're working with or someone on your team who's just, brewing with upset, if you try to move them into concrete, practical strategy right away, it's not going to help them feel heard or seen or empowered, and they are then not going to be able to support you. You need to let people have their voice, and you learn to practice sitting in the room or holding the space for someone who's upset and needs to share that upset with you. And if you can let that happen without feeling like you have to rush in and solve it, that's going to help you be a much better communicator and leader.
Yeah, so important. And unbelievable, we have used up our time again. Oh my goodness. When you're having fun, when you're learning things, when you are being inspired, the time just flies by, and I could just talk to you over and over again. But I want to make sure that the people who are out there who are listening to us today have the opportunity to follow up with you. Please make sure that we know how.
Certainly. You can go to my website, which is Karol with a K, karolward.com. And if you go to my website, there's a way to contact me. There's also a free gift I offer for people who sign up for my newsletter, a stress reduction visualization track, an audio download that you can get for free. And it takes 5 minutes, can help you keep calm during this turbulent time we're all living in. And you can always reach out to me there at any time.
And how often do you have people who just say they hear you on something like this and they say, okay, I need to work with you? Do you have plenty of people you work with one-on-one, or preferably with groups or with corporations?
I do two things. I have a one-on-one coaching practice. In November, I'm starting an inner confidence coaching group, and I'm going to put up information about that on my site to help a set group of people move forward and understand what's in their way. And then I do go into companies and corporations for communication skills and for trial skills and deposition skills, all based on how to feel more confident when you communicate, which, as you both know, often has to do with how you feel about yourself.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you. We're going to close up now. And for those of you who forgot, this has been an amazing session with Karol Ward. And I'm Valda Ford. You can reach me at valda@valdaford.com if for some reason you can't catch up with Karol. And Rochelle?
I'm Rochelle at rochellerice.com.
And we have been inspired today. I know that you have been as well, because we are committed to elevating the next generation of women in leadership And I hope that means you. Bye-bye for now.